State your name.
RJ Reynolds.
RJ Reynolds. Sounds like Attorney General or something.
Pretty much.
Attorney General
RJ Reynolds.
Oh yeah,
Winston
Cigarettes.
Yeah.
That was the guy who owned it.
Yeah?
Also Hawaiian Punch. Interestingly enough.
The two most addictive substances you've ever made.
Yeah, seriously. You grew up in Texas.
Yeah.
For the first part of your life.
Yeah.
Where did you go to high school?
Originally, I went to high school at Andrew Jackson High School in Louisiana.
Okay. So you were in Louisiana for the young adult.
Yeah, up till when I was a sophomore, and then Hurricane Katrina hit, and then I went to school there for like a year afterwards at this place called St. Bernard Unified School, which was basically just the high school they set up in that parish that I lived in, so kids could go to school if they had, been displaced and come back.
Gotcha.
And then I came to LBA.
Okay. So growing up, did you grow up with faith? Like, was your family faith-based?
I was raised a Christian. It really was more of a general, this is God, this is Jesus, this is what they're about. It was more of a personal faith kind of thing. I was encouraged to maintain it myself. I didn't go to church a lot. When I turned 13, my dad remarried, and we started going to a Lutheran church pretty heavily. I went through pretty much catechism class and got confirmed and took communion and all that stuff. So I grew up with it definitely, and I learned a lot about it up till I moved out here, and then I was kind of free to explore my own faith, I guess.
Sure. And are you doing that now?
Yeah, I'm not a Christian anymore. I do still maintain a lot of the beliefs, I guess, without the core philosophy. Obviously, I support not murdering, not lying, being good to people. The golden rule. I really am all about love and compassion and forgiveness. I just.
Well, what is a Christian? I mean, you said you were raised Christian.
A Christian is someone who follows the path of Christ, who practices care for their fellow man, even if he's just in the complete gutters, especially if he's in the gutters, who really practices love for every individual, who can forgive, even if it's something they just cannot fathom. I've heard a poet I like, Buddy Wakefield, saying forgiveness is the release of all hope for a better past. And I think that's completely true, because it covers the tricky dichotomy of, well, I want to be like Christ and I want to forgive and I want to do something that is divine, but it's really hard when you're tied so close to the wounds maybe that cut that it would take to forgive. And I think a true Christian is someone who forgives knowing that it's not really their choice to absolve or condemn somebody, that it's up to God, and that as a Christian you just you
Why would you say that you're not a Christian anymore?
I don't believe that Jesus was necessarily the one Son of God. I think he was a great person, a great teacher, and he had a great way to live, but I am not entirely convinced of that part. That would be the only reason.
Do you believe we're all sons of God or children of God?
I'm not sure of how I believe in God.
Do you believe in God?
I believe in some kind of divinity, but I think it's more based in the universe. It couldn't be just one person or one entity. It would have to be something beyond our understanding. So I usually reject the idea of God just because I don't feel it quite contains what I believe. But
you believe in something that created this?
Yeah, I do. Even if it wasn't, it definitely wasn't a single thinking brain like humans maybe, but I do believe in something. I'm just not sure what. I guess I more closely identify with agnosticism. I find it's kind of tricky because you run into atheists who are really anti-religion and tend to be assholes about it. Yeah. And on the other side, you do run into Christians who are assholes about it, So I'm not really sure what I believe yet, but I do believe in forgiveness. I do believe in love. I do believe in compassion. I do believe in caring and looking after your fellow man. And I try to encourage that. And Christians, not to generalize at all, but the Christians I've met, especially in the art scene, like yourself, for example, Jay Gibbons, Jason Ishagabadi, aren't just Christians in name and how, the poems they spit, but in the things they do. You do Drop Your Socks. Jason Ishagabadi was actually going to do some kind of poetry reading for, like I said, Caliente Boys or something like that.
Yeah,
he was going.
Last Saturday we went.
Yeah, and that's incredible. Stuff like that needs to happen. Like I was saying earlier, art needs to be a voice for what you believe and what you do. And it should go beyond just saying, it should go into action.
So, if God is real and He desires to have a relationship with you, and He created you for that relationship, for love, because it said that God is love. If you believe in love, then you have to believe in what we call God. Does that make sense?
If you have to believe in love, you have to believe in God. Yeah, that's a true statement. I don't think of it's hard to know God based on the things people say and write about Him and have described Him over the years, because people have used God to justify a lot of ungodly things. So it's hard to know some things.
That's why it's a personal relationship.
Yeah. And I guess my personal relationship is, I think I'm here to heal, and it might not necessarily be leading towards, it may not explicitly lead people towards Christ, but I do want to encourage people to love, forgive, and show compassion for people, to genuinely care, and just to help people. And that, to me, brings me closer to God. Even if I'm still figuring out the rest of it, I've got that at least for the moment, to bring people towards that.
It seems like you have a lot of pain in your heart, and that comes out as compassion for other people.
I've had some tough times, but what they've all taught me is that I remember hearing, if you make more than $2 a day, you're richer than like 80% of the world. Yeah. And I don't wake up every morning and either have to evacuate my family or fight somebody or, fight for my life or just be put into a war that I don't even want to be a part of. My village was just, destroyed so people could bring us into that war. I live a blessed existence of being able to say my message whenever I want, however I want. Here, for example, and instead of dwelling on the things that have made me hurt in life, I'd rather show them how I have used that to make catharsis and really encourage other people to do that. Even if I can't reach the people who really have to suffer way worse than I do have the clarity to recognize that what I've gone through is not nearly as bad as it could be, or is in certain parts of the world, and just spread even just my words to encourage people to deal with pain themselves. Maybe they get some kind of clarity that I don't.
Thanks for sharing. I think we'll do another interview in a couple months. I have a feeling that it may go a little differently, but
okay.
I'm glad you shared.
Thank you, man.
Right on.
I had a good time doing it.
Cool.